is NTV. This is NTV.
Ewezemu eyakawungezi mbaniriza nnyo eno ye NTV ku ssaawa emu ennaku z'omwezi 3 omwezi ogw'omunaana. Nze Farida Nakazibwe. Erinnya Zaakayo liwulikika nnyo mu kkuumiro ly'ebisolo Entebbe. Zaakayo ly'ezzike erisinga obukulu wano mu ggwanga era lyagalwa nnyo abalikuuma. Olwaleero Zaakayo awezezza emyaka 49 era ebikujjiko bibadde ku Wildlife Education Center nga bisombodde abantu abalitonedde n'ebirabo. Linda olabe essanyu ezzike lino liriraze ku kabaga kano okubadde n'okusala cake. Sooka olabe emitwe mikolo. Ekirwadde ky'Ebola abalambuzi batandise okwesamba Uganda. Gavumenti ekitadde ku mikutu gy'amawulire gy'ensi yonna. Tetuwagira bayeekera. Gavumenti ya Uganda evuddeyo ku mirerembe egiri e Congo. Amazaalibwa ga Zaakayo, keeki yessizza ezzike y'amabbabbanyi. Songa mu mpaka za Olympics Munnayuganda Kiplagat yesoze final z'emisinde, babiri bawanduse. Eddakiika emu yokka yeeyise ku ssaawa emu nkwaniriza nnyo. Ekirwadde kya Ebola tekikomye kutwala bulamu bw'abantu, kitandise okukosa ebyenfuna by'eggwanga. Olwaleero minisita w'ebyobulambuzi akakasizza nti abalambuzi bangi basazizaamu engendo zaabwe mu Uganda nga beekengera ekiyinza okubatuukako. Kino minisita kitadde ku mikutu gy'amawulire egy'ensi yonna egize gikikkaatiriza nti Uganda ya bulabe kati. Abantu abalala 3 bakakasiddwa okubanga bakwatiddwa ekirwadde ky'Ebola. Songa waliwo n'omusibe omu ateeberezebwa okuba n'ekirwadde kino eyadduse mu kkomera ly'e Kagadi. Ab'ebyobulamu bakakasiza era nti Ebola tannaba kutuuka mu Kampala nga bwe bibadde bitandise okuyitengana.
Ebyobulamuzi kyekimu ku ebisinga kuyingiza ensimbi mu ggwanga era ekibikosa kiba kikosezza eggwanika ly'eggwanga. Minisita Kamuntu ategeeza nti abalambuzi abasoba 20 okuva ebweru w'eggwanga be bakasazaamu engendo zaabwe kuno. Obuzibu buno kiteeberezebwa nti buvudde ku ngeri bannamawulire abakolera emikutu gy'ensi yonna gye bawandiise ku kirwadde kino.
Bandibaddewo okusooka okubuulira abantu timujja singa manyi nti waliko ddenja wano, kubanga it causes me trouble. Omuntu mutwalisi wajja n'afeera wano mu Uganda, my friend. She causing up more problems to me than if I had told him not to come.
Kamuntu agamba nti weewaawo waliwo omuntu eyafiire mulago tekitegeeza nti obulwadde buno busaasaanidde ebitundu byonna.
Keesi eba reportinga mulago yali keesi ye baleeta mu ambulance okuva Kibaale ne bagireeta mu ambulance ne bagiteeka mu theatre. Omuntu n'afa naye tiyabreakinga mu Kampala yajja nga referral case.
Mu kiseera kino waliwo enteekateeka zebataddewo ez'okuziyiza ekirwadde kino okusaasaana. Gavumenti ewaddeyo obumbi 3 buyambeko mu kulwanyisa Ebola, so nga waliwo n'abakugu okuva mu kitongole ky'ensi yonna eky'ebyobulamu abatuuse okukwatiza akaba kuno. Yo kampani y'amafuta ya Tara Oil naye ewaddeyo obukadde 10. Ebibadde byogerwa nti Ebola atuusa mu bitundu ebirala, Minisita Christine Ondoa ow'ebyobulamu abisambaze.
I am happy to announce that the Mbarara alert case has been proven to be Ebola negative. The one from Makerere University was also Ebola negative. The one from Makerere University was a student who had leukemia.
Omuwendo gw'abakafa guyimiridde ku 16 ate abakyalondoolebwa bali 312.
Webale nnyo amawulire ge twakafuna galaga nti omuntu omulala afudde mu ddwaliro e Kagadi era nga kikakasiddwa nti abadde mulwadde wa Ebola ekitegeeza nti kati abakafa baweze 17. Mu bufu bwe bumu obwo waliwo ekifo ekiteereddwawo e Mulago nga kino kyakujjanjaba abo abanaabazuuliddwa okuba n'ekirwadde kya Ebola singa kibalukawo wano mu Kampala. Akulira eddwaliro ly'e Mulago Dr. Byarugaba Bateerana ategeezezza nti omuntu aleeteddwawo okuva e Luzira olwaleero n'afiira e Mulago tabadde mulwadde wa Ebola.
Tubadde ne mikwano gyaffe aba MSF France aba Kampala City Council Authority waraba aba Ministry of Health aba engineers babo webali n'abalala naffe nga Mulago Supreme Court of Medicine naffe turaba tuli wano twena tukwataganyize wamu okulaba nti campaign ekola bulungi kubanga tegenda kusavinga abantu oba abalwadde abajje Mulago bokka naye buli omu ali mu Kampala n'emirano baba afunye ekirwadde kino bajja kumurefaringa wano ku campaign tweyongera okumwekebeja bwe tunasanga kyekyo tumujanjabe bulungi awone ategeeza ko okukola kwe kulabira ddala nti eri bulungi buli omu afuna buno obulwadde tusobola okumuwa ekitanda tumujanjabe bulungi awone tumusiibula agende. Omulambo lwatugwana emisana gubadde gwa mulenzi naye onabadde ava e Luzira yavudde e Luzira naye yazze ng'alina signs ebyabadde akomplain nga bifaanagana n'ebya Ebola ne bamujjako omusaayi ne gugenda naye gwakomyewo nti talina Ebola naye abadde alina obulwadde bulala ate yajja nga atuuse wala ekyomukisa omubi n'atufaako kisobera kubeera basiru nti tukwate abalwadde b'Ebola tubateeke mu wodizi z'abantu abalamu. Kino bwekyo wano titunawo omulwadde mulala era nga bwolaba kamputi walimu omuntu mulala wa Ebola oba gwe tususpecting okubeera nayo.
Ye Dr. Byarugaba Bateerana akulira eddwaliro ly'e Mulago. Bwe tuvaako ku by'Ebola, Minisita w'ensonga z'ebweru wa Uganda Okello Oryem atubulidde nga bw'abadde aludde okulira abantu abanyumya ebitakola nnyo makulu okutuusa George bwe yawulidde nga ensonda mu United Nations zigamba nti Uganda naye wagira abayeekera aba M23 abali e Congo. Aba United Nations bazze balumiriza Rwanda naye ng'abamu ku bo bwe badde bali bagamba nti ne Uganda ebintu ebirimu nnyo. Waliwo olukiiko lugenda okutuula mu Uganda wiki ejja abakulembeze ab'enjawulo mwe bagenda okutuula boogere kaati ku nsonga za Congo.
Ebibadde biyitingana nti abasirikale ba Uganda batandise okulabibwako mu Congo nga balwanira wamu n'abayekera ba M23. Minisita Okello Oryem agamba nti byabwewusa.
Rubbish, and I repeat it, is rubbish. In no uncertain terms, members of the UPDF in the DRC, there was no interest to be there.
Okusinziira ku Oryem, Uganda terina kye yeetaaga okuva mu Congo mu kiseera kino newankubadde nga abayekera ba Allied Democratic Force bagumbyeyo. Abayekera ba M23 okusinziira ku kitongole ekitaba amawanga ki United Nations ebyokulwanyisa bye bakozesa n'enkola yaabwe ey'emirimu biraga nti waliwo eggye eryakugukedde eribayamba. Alipoota ya UN erumiriza Rwanda okuwagira abayekera bano tegenda kukubaganyizibwako birowoozo mu lukiiko lw'abakulembeze owa Uganda, Rwanda ne Congo olugenda okutuula mu Nnyonyo ku Lwokubiri. Abakulembeze bano basuubira kwemalira ku kyakusala amagezi agamalawo obutali butebenkevu mu buvanjuba bwa Congo.
So their contact, the ongoing contact between Kabila and Kagame is useful leading towards the...
Paul Kagame owa Rwanda ne Joseph Kabila owa Congo bakakasizza nti baakubeerawo mu lukiiko luno.
Eddakiika ziri 6 eziyise ku ssaawa emu. Ekizike ekikyasinze obukulu kuno olwaleero kijaguzza emyaka 49. Abagazi b'ebisolo naddala eby'omu nsiko, abaana abato n'abakulira ekkuumiro ly'ebisolo Entebbe enkyaliro bakuŋŋaanidde ku Uganda Wildlife Education Center okujagulizaako ezzike lino eryatuumibwa Zaakayo.
Olwaleero lwegiweze emyaka 49 bukya kizike kino ekyatuumibwa Zaakayo kizaalibwa. Mikwano gy'ebisolo ababaddewo okujaguliza ku kizike kino bakimbidde obuyimba bw'amazaalibwa obubaddeko n'obuluulu. Oluvannyuma keeke esaliddwa n'egabulwa nga nennyini lunaku naye agiwomeddwa ebitagambika. Zaakayo ono aweereddwa ekirabo kyokka nga bwe bagamba nti ekiri mu ttu kimanyibwa nnyini kyo n'ekizike kino kyewuunyisizza ababaddewo bwe kikutte ekirabo kyakyo ne kikitwala gye kisula nga tekikisumuludde.
Amazike gano oba n'ensolo endala nkulu nnyo. Abantu twetaaga ensolo n'ensolo twetaaga okubeera awamu. So tugezaako kugamba nti tetukuba nsolo, tetuzitta, tetutema miti, tetutema bibira.
Okujjako okujaguza emyaka gya Zaakayo 49, olunaku luno era lugendereddwamu okujjukiza bannayuganda bulijjo okukomya okusaanyaawo ebibira ko n'okufuba okwettanira okusimba emiti ng'omu ku kaweefube w'okuzzaawo obutonde bw'ensi.
Webale nnyo. Minisita wa America ow'ensonga z'ebweru Hillary Rodham Clinton abaddeko mu kafubo n'omukulembeze w'eggwanga Yoweri Museveni mu maka ge Entebbe. Clinton ne Museveni bateesezza ku nsonga nnyingi omubadde okuggumiza enkola ya demokrasiya, eddembe ly'obuntu ssaako n'obukulu bwa Uganda mu kutumbula emirembe naddala mu Somalia. Clinton era alambudde enkambi y'amagye ga America eri mu kufefeta Joseph Kony esangibwa e Kasenyi.
No handshaking. And my husband enjoyed seeing you just a few weeks ago, along with my daughter.
Bibadde mu maka g'obwa President Entebbe dakiika ziri 9 eziyise ku ssaawa. Mwebale nnyo okubeera naffe, ke kaseera tuwummulemu katono ddala tovaawo bwe tukomawo kitundu kyaffe ekyokubiri. Era bino bye bimu ku bikirimu. Ebusia ab'ebyobulamu beezobye n'abakinjaaji mu kaweefube w'okukuuma obuyonjo. Muzungulu tosubwa ebigambo by'ababaka okuva mu Buganda n'okunywa ka chai ewa President.
This is NTV.
Nditwala kinene apatatuuse ku buko. Bw'otwala ekintu ekitono ku buko kiba kirungi okusinga lw'olimu okutwalayo akantu konna ng'olinda okufuna ekinene otwaleyo. N'okuwa munno ekintu ekitono ky'olina kikira obutamuwa ng'olinda okumala okufuna ekinene.
This is NTV.
Kwera embeera y'abasajja bano
essuubi nga lyakuggwamu maama.
Bano abasajja abanaatera n'okujja kusigiriza ffe ekiro basituleko emiwumbo gy'emmere bagitwale.
Sogera byange kibanza bana bagamba nga bagamba ne bwagala nkubulira ebyange jatugenda emyanzi.
Mpulira banyumya babeera bakujerega waliko omusawo w'ekinnansi. South Africa baba bakujerega ebituufu.
Baba banjerega.
Oyo mufere mubbi yennyini yeetaaga miggo. Omuntu wa bulijjo tomuzannyirangako abeeranga dormant volcano.
Bwemba mukkiriza nina takuwa mugiyita.
Ate takuwa gobeera mugoberezi. Tolowooza ndi buli mulimo oyogerera omusiraamu singa naakubuuza nti Katonda yagamba atya.
Oba oli pasita ng'okyawa olimba obba oyenda olina abakazi basatu. Please
Heaven is waiting for you. One day you'll pay, and soon your time is out.
Otisa mmono.
Sitisa. Nkubulira Yesu talimba.
Ebintu mbimala mulundi gumu. Kati what I love peace.
Gwokola byo.
Wegase n'omusajja mutwale mabi.
Kwene embeera y'abasajja.
A message yali ku the last piece of a jambia yali muhadi wa yonna.
No, bloody way, holy moly.
We've just met. How can I be your friend? Mr. Rashmond. Okuzimba ennyumba nga kintu kizibu nnyo banange mugumire mu bupangisa. Come.
I'm called Olar Oton. There's no English name. Just like resistors, Yakazol.
I blame you. You have option of getting international husband. Why do you get it?
New time.
This is NTV.
Ziri 13 ziyise ku ssaawa emu webale nnyo kwekuumira ku NTV. Mawulire amalala, abatemi b'ennyama mu kabuga k'e Busia badodwalukanye n'ab'ebyobulamu ng'entabo eva ku nnyama etundibwa mu bifo ebimu egambibwa okuba nti temanyiddwa gy'eva. Abakinjaaji eky'okuggala bbucca zaabwe bakizimudde era ekidiridde kubadde kuwanyisiganya bisongovu.
Ab'ebyobulamu mu kibuga kya Busia balwanaganye n'abakinjaaji abadde bagala okuggalawo bbucca ezitunda ennyama awo nga ku muzigiti gwa Rubaine. Abakozi bano okujja okuggalawo bbucca zino bamaze kulya nti ennyama etundibwa mu bimu ku bifo bino esalibwa mu bifo ebitamanyiddwa. Kuno kwe basinzidde okwagala okuwamba ennyama eyabadde etundibwa ssaako n'okuggalawo mu etundirwa. Abakinjaaji mu kutaasa ebyabwe basobodde okwekuŋŋaanya mu bungi balemese ab'ebyobulamu okukola omulimu gwabwe. Yakulira ekitongole ky'ebyobulamu ategeeza nga okutunda ennyama y'ebisolo ebikalannamye wamu n'ebibbe bweyongedde Busia.
They have created numerous illegal slaughters within the municipality. This particular day we are carrying out this operation to curb illegal slaughters.
Babakinjaaji balabiddwa nga bazzaawo ennyama ku midaala gyabwe.
Bayogedde bya bulimba ayina entenfu zakabera mu lufule ezifudde ayagala kwata ennyama yaffe gye tutuwe mu lufule eriko ne stampu yiino kyokka ayagala gikwata.
NTV ku ssaawa emu. Wiiki eno eweddeko ng'abamu bagifunyeemu ebyengera weewaawo ng'abalala babadde maziga. Tubadde n'okuzza amatikkira ga Ssaabasajja ate twali tuli awo Pulezidenti n'akwata mu kkooti n'asikamu obukadde bwa siringi 2,000 n'abusimba bakola ku kuzzaawo amasiro g'e Kasubi. Tuba tuli awo era Pulezidenti y'omu n'ayita ababaka ba Buganda banyumyemu naye awo tetwabitegeera bulungi kubanga abamu baamutumira nti bo tebakyayagala kunywa caayi na kubasesa mu nkiiko. Lwe balisalawo kugendayo tulibabuulira. Zungulu.
You come to the center. Yawuta supu w'abannansi mu katale.
Yali enkoko embisi bwayita mu kamooli.
Gasirika businzi bingi bali wali erwa.
Zunguluru.
Kweyanza ibene.
Abaali ku matikkira ga Kabaka bannange mu kulika eyo enkuba yatonnya naye egyo gyali mikisanga gikulukuta. Mwalaba abawera okulwanirira Obuganda naye katubalinde tulabe gye binaggwera. Bannaffe ababaka abava mu Buganda oba bo bakoowu. Sebo ffe abamu tusula tuloota kukyalira ku pulezidenti waffe naye bo baabiganye. Kale maama singa yeffe oba omukulu baayita.
Naye ebigambo by'ogenda ng'omukulu okunywa caayi n'okuwuliriza emisomo egiva gyali.
Maama wulira caayi. Kyemugamba temukyagala kunywa caayi na pulezidenti?
Enkiiko za caayi twazikoowa.
Bannange wulira. Caayi w'omu State House nammwe ng'alabika awooma. Muteesa n'omukulu nga bwe mwemiisa. Simanyi baba wadde agenda y'olukiiko.
Ebintu eby'okuyita abantu nga tekuliiko agenda oba omulama tekuliiko ogwo teruba lukiiko.
naye omukulu yabayise waakiri mugenda ne mumala gatuule eyo.
Tugenda kuteesa ku zatiya gaasa akubwa mu Buganda, tugenda kuteesa ku butemu bwa butayimba obukute egundi.
Anti nammwe oluusi mubanga abatalina mugongo ku bintu ebimu. Leero muli ku kino, luli mwawukanye, mulinga kidomola kya ttonto.
Naye bannaffe bano baagala kufuula Buganda kokasi ng'ekidomola. Kyenkya kibeera mu mwenge Muganda, bakimiramu amazzi ate bakireeta amafuta ag'emmotoka.
Omwangu nno alirowooza nti mulinga bano abasimba layini ku midaala gy'embizzi.
Tetujja kubanga midaala gya mbizzi. Abagala enjokye, abagala ensalirewo n'ekkalaayi bonna basimba wamu.
Naye kati pulezidenti yabayise ayagala abiveeko akwate ku nsonga endala.
Butuyise mudduka kuki?
Anti yakadde okuva ebweru osanga alina by'abaleetedde.
Ate naye ekyo ekimuleetera okukoowa. Ova ku nnyonyi otambudde ova Mugambi avaawa.
Owange oba ava mu Vietnam oba Cambodia naffe tetumanyi.
Vietnam ava Angola gyetiranga wakatuka towumuddeemu nti Abaganda muli wambasisinkanire Buganda yamu.
Naye nammwe oli yabayise ku kyayi lwaki temugenda mu kifo ky'okudda wano okugiriga?
Naye kati naddadde awo ogenda okubugumira obugumiriza ogenda okunywa kyayi nze byo sibirimu. Olaba naawe otandise okuyimirira n'osimba ensonga ku luno ekibaganya okugendayo kikulu. Ffe tuli eno mu kyalo munaatusangayo ne mutubuulira ebifo embuga. Tulya pate nambaga lwakuba poliisi nayo etulemesa. Tufumbiza abaana baffe ate bajja batunyumiza. This is underage girl, you can't marry her off. Underage mwe mwabazaala. Ya enteekateeka y'embaga yiyo ekidaala weekiri nnyo, emmere weeri, akawunga n'ebbugga. Era nga mugamba musimanyi twetaaga reception musimanyi ebeere ku Serena, simanyi abatimbi bannaleero. Omugole wuuyo naye bw'aba mukulu nnyo emyaka alabika ali mu 16. Bambi kasiise n'enviiri kyokka abazadde nammwe mususse omululu gw'ebintu. Mutwale eri nammwe teyalina nnugu oyo mwana muto. Laba competition kikukaana akato bwe katyo yenga muweddemu ensonyi. Abaana abakima omugole we beerippye ku loole. Abavubuka babadde bangi naye oyo omuvubuka eyampadde tampaayo namulabye nga muvubuka mutegeevu wa mu bantu nesalawo okumuwa.
Taata w'omwana ebintu byo byagala. Naye naffe nga tuvudde mu kusaaga okufumbiza abaana abato kibi. Mubateeka mu bulabe bw'okufuna endwadde okubeera n'abasajja be batayagala.
Kati bano benamye muwala wange be baviddeko complaint eyo kugitwala ku poliisi.
Babadde batuufu okutwala complaint ku poliisi. Omanyi afande abantu tubaleke bafumbize akaana kaabwe. Mama naffe tufunye omwana gwe bawasembaga mu famire. Wama omugole omukaji mukyajja kigo wakiima
ekiwa
walayo omuwala tumutwala. Andi laba kiwa gwe basiima kati oba asanyukamu biki naawe. Omugole omusajja okakasa omwana gw'otwala yeetuuka mu myaka.
N'abazadde ntwagawo ne baŋŋamba omuwala mukulu ate bagamba batya nti muto.
Wamupimisa maaso nga nsujju. Ye kati olina bisaanyizo kiggwe ebitwala omwana w'abandi mu bufumbo.
Kuba omuwala bagezaako muvuganya naye mba ngamba sinze ebisaanyirizo tebalina byonna nze nabitwala.
Byonna bya zunguluru.
Dakiika ziri 21 eziyise ku ssaawa mwebale nnyo kwekuumirako NTV. Tugenda kuddamu tuwummule mu katono tovaawo byamizannyo byebiddako.
This is NTV. This is NTV. is NTV.
To be honest, it's one of the most scary genres of music for me. For me every day. Irifemasi nisu tadi magero.
Oli ku NTV ku Ssaawa mu mizannyo olwaleero Benjamin Kiplagat awadde ku Uganda essuubi mu mpaka za Olympics bw'asobodde okwesoga oluzannya olw'akamalirizo. Ono yeetabye mu mpaka ez'okudduka eza mita 13. Omuddusi omulala Jacob Araptani ye awanduse.
Empaka za Olympics zingidde olunaku olw'omusanvu ng'obutafaananako nga bibadde bibeera Munnayuganda Benjamin Kiplagat ayiseewo okwesoga oluzannya oluddako mu mpaka z'emisinde ez'okubuuka obusenge eza mita 13. Empaka za leero aziddukidde mu ddakiika 8:18 n'obutikitiki 4. Akutte ekifo kya 6 bw'atyo n'ayitawo okwetaba mu mpaka ez'akamalirizo ezinaabawo ku Lwesande. Ye Jacob Araptani tasobodde kuyitawo ng'addukidde ddakiika 8:35. Babaddusa omuli Dokasi Nzukulu ne Moses Kipusiro babikanca. Mu mpaka z'okuwuga Jamia Lunkuse awanduse ng'ona amalidde mu kifo kya 8.
Mu mizannyo emirala abavuzi b'emmotoka z'empaka okuva e Jinja bongedde amaanyi mu kutendekebwa nga beetegekera empaka z'obuvanjuba ezigenda okuyindira mu kibangirizi ky'omwoleso gw'ebyobulimi e Jinja omwezi guno. Abavuzi b'emmotoka z'empaka abalala b'amannya mu ggwanga nabo bakuzeetabamu.
Kati tulina okulaga abantu b'e Kampala nti tusobola.
Duncan Chikankane ali ku championship, Ronald Sebuguzi ali ku championship, Just Mangat ali ku championship. Abantu abo ne Susan Simwangu yadde tusobola mu kwa tukubangako Simwangu. Dakiika ziri 25 ziise ku Ssaawa emu. Webale nnyo okubeera naffe awo wennyini wengenda okukoma ng'ogyeko baagaliza wiikendi ennungi. Sina kirala kyakwongerako. Mbeera bulungi, mweraba.
This is NTV. This is NTV. This is NTV. This is NTV. is NTV. This is NTV.
This week on Profiles.
I managed to save up some money and I snuck myself into a small factory in Kenya where they're filling by hand and they were filtering water and they were supplying the American Armed Forces in Somalia at the time. So I thought, this is not that difficult, I'm sure I can do this. So I did some research and I got some equipment and I rented a place from Kiwa in Nakawa and we drilled a borehole and I started the bottled water industry, you know.
It has been said that everyone understands that water is essential to life, but many are only just now beginning to grasp how essential it is to everything in life: food, energy, transportation, nature, leisure, identity, culture, and virtually all the products used on a daily basis. Today on Profiles, we sit down with Mahmud Somani, the creator and managing director of Ruwenzori Beverage Company Limited. Ruwenzori Beverage Company Limited specializes in the processing and packaging of bottled mineral water. But before we get into all that, let's find out more about the man behind the company.
My name is Mahmud Somani. I'm part of the Somani family. We are from Kabale. I was born in 1961 in Kabale Hospital. Then, during the first 10 years of my life, I was in Kabale. I was going to Kabale Preparatory School, KPS. And then when Idi Amin came, when he threw us out, I ended up in England, in London for 6 months. And my father went to Canada. And I ended up living in Vancouver. And I lived in Vancouver from 1973 to 1986. And during that time, I finished my primary, my high school, and my university.
Having grown up in Kabale, which is in southwest Uganda, Somani does have many fond memories of this beautiful mountainous area with its many small lakes.
Kabale is a beautiful place. It's still a beautiful place. People are still very friendly. In those days, it was still, things like I remember when we got electricity. I remember when the old telephones with the wine dials, and I remember that was just a good life. It was a good small community life, you know. We could walk around in the streets. Nobody bothered you as children. We used to go fishing. We used to walk 3-4 miles. We used to go to Lake Bunyoni. We used to go to Kisoro. I used to go with my dad. I used to have a couple of mines there on the way to Kisoro. Then we always used to travel to Kampala in holidays. We used to go to Barara. We used to go hunting, you know. It's very, very fond memories I had of Uganda. My mother was a homemaker. She was at home all the time. Eventually, she became a hairdresser when we left Uganda. And my father was involved in many, many businesses. I think when they came to Uganda, they were very, very poor. I think in the 20s, my grandfather came to Tanzania. And then they sort of kept moving westward. And my father is born in Bukoba. And then I think in the late 30s or something like that, they came into Kabale. And my father has remained in Kabale and worked as a teenager in somebody's shop, and their mother used to grind spices and used to sell peanuts on the street, and G-nuts as you call them, and do other things like that. And eventually he made his own money, and he was involved in a lot of businesses. We had a hardware shop, I think he had a textile shop at one time, then he had insurance business, he used to sell cars. Eventually we had a farm on the Mitiana Mubende Road, about 18 kilometers from here, where we had dairy farm, sugarcane, jaggery, coffee. And they were experimenting, I think, in the late 60s with cardamom and exotic spices. Eventually, I think they got together and they had some partners, and they developed the Metropole House now, which is in Kampala.
As children, we come to learn how the world works by observing and imitating those around us. For Somani, his father set a high standard right from the beginning.
You're always in the house, you're always talking business, you're always thinking of new ideas. You know, at the age of 6, 7, 8 years old, you understand what a mortgage is, what a loan is, those kind of things, you know. I always used to see my dad working late doing bookkeeping, and I used to envy him that one day I'm going to be like this. During high school, or actually primary school, which is here P7, I think P7, and S1, I was delivering newspapers. And after that, I started working in my uncle's shoe store. We had a shoe store there. And I used to sell shoes to ladies like you. And it was the toughest job I had, you know. Selling something, especially shoes to women, was a very difficult thing. Because you come with a friend who comes with a mother, and the friend likes them, but the mother doesn't like them, and can't decide on the price, can't decide on the color. So I learned my sales technique in the shoe shop. And then after that, I got a job delivering Chinese food, and I used to work at night delivering Chinese food and go to school in the day. And then as I was getting into my college years, I decided I wanted to become a mechanic, and so I decided to in Canada, they get paid very well, mechanics. So I became an apprentice. So we had technical schools I had to attend, and so I was busy all the time. And I made some money because while I was working apprenticing as a mechanic, I used to buy old cars, repair them, and sell them. So I made a little bit of money on that. And then my sister got a job at Avis Rent-A-Car. And I was working at that time I was working in a motel as a desk clerk. And they're paying me very little money. But the good thing about doing that was it was a very small motel. So there wasn't much activity, so I could do my homework there at night. And then I didn't like the job, and a friend of mine was working in a printing shop, and he got me a job at night printing in a printing shop, running blueprints, and it was a better paying job. But it was tough work, and I couldn't do homework. So after that, my sister got me a job at Avis Rent-A-Car, and because it was a unionized job, it paid quite well. So I only needed to work about 20 hours a week while I was at university. And in the winter season, it wasn't very busy, so I'd have to wash 8 or 10 cars, and then I'd be done for the day, and I'd have like 3-4 hours to do homework and stuff.
While Somani was traveling the globe, his family had resettled in Uganda. In 1986, President Yoweri Museveni overthrew Dr. Milton Obote's government. Calm and some sense of order was gradually being restored in the country. Somani's father thought that it was time his son came back home.
I took a year off, I'd saved up some money, and my dad gave me a grad present. He gave me a ticket from Vancouver to Southeast Asia, to Hong Kong and Bangkok. And I went for a few months, but I enjoyed myself so much just being on my own and being independent, and I managed to stay a whole year. I ended up 3 months in the Philippines, 3 or 4 months in Thailand, 3 months in India, a month and a half in China. And then I came back to Vancouver in 1987, and my sister got married, and then she says to me, my dad said to me, he says, you know, come back to Uganda. I'm back in Uganda now, and things are settling down, and Museveni's coming to power, and there's a lot of opportunity. So I was kind of eager to see Uganda as well, you know, it's my birthplace.
Coming up after the break.
For the whole of 1993 and 1994, I lost money. And I was starting to doubt myself, and was not being very confident about what I was doing. But luckily I had Kazinga channel that was making a little money, and I could lend money to Ruwenzori all the time to keep it running.
Today we are in Namamve, where the new Ruwenzori beverage company sits on lush and exquisite property. You could almost forget that you're on factory premises as you take in the beauty and serenity that surrounds you. But Mahmud Somani did not build his company overnight. It is a process that has taken him more than a decade.
There was always shortages of things in Uganda, and it was really frustrating for me to come from a first world country to come to a third world country and find out, and a real third world, you know, like coming out of war and so many problems we had. Like power would go, like I said earlier, and water would go on and off. And it was coming close to my birthday one day, and I remember there was no beer and there was no soda and everything was rationed. And I told my dad, I can't deal with this. He says, well, why don't you go visit your friends in Kenya? Then take a break for a month and come back. So I went Christmas time, I went. And I noticed the tourism industry in Kenya was really booming. And I noticed the tourists, the rich Kenyans, and the rich Indians, expatriate Indians or the local Indians there, they were all consuming bottled water at restaurants and that. And I thought about it, I said, this is not a bad idea, but I don't think Uganda is ready for this yet. And then in 1992, when I went to Canada, and then we lived in a city called Vancouver. And Vancouver is it's a deep water harbor with a river to the south and mountains to the north. Now these are very high mountains, they're 14,000 feet, you know, about 6,000 meters or so. I'm walking down the high street, like a Bond Street in Vancouver, and I'm looking in the summertime, and I'm watching all these people sitting there, you know, these half-naked Muzungus in their shorts, and they're drinking bottled water, and I'm thinking, this is crazy. This is like selling ice to Eskimos, you know? It's nuts. These guys are buying bottled water. Now, if this is working here and it's happening in Kenya, I'm sure this can happen in Uganda, because you can't even drink the tap water. Remember those days? You couldn't. Even today, I'm not sure if you can. But so I came back and I told my dad about it. This is what I want to do. And he looked at me and he says, what, you want to sell bottled water, like water in a bottle, to Ugandans? Ugandan water? I said, yes. He said, what are you, crazy? Get out of my office, you know? Started laughing. He couldn't believe that I wanted to do something so ridiculous, so stupid. So I said, okay, he's not going to lend me the money. Let me go look elsewhere. And at that time, I was banking with Standard Chartered Bank for Kazinga Channel. And my credit control manager was Richard Biarugaba, who is now the MD of Nile Bank, or he's working Nile Barclays. And I went to Richard and I said, Richard, this is what I want to do. And Richard just about fell off his chair, you know. And he says, you know, Mahmud, go find something else to do. You know, come back when you have a better project. And he just kept laughing and laughing and laughing, and he just chased me out of his office. So I managed to save up some money, and I snuck myself into a small factory in Kenya where they're filling by hand and they were filtering water, and they were supplying the American Armed Forces in Somalia at the time. So I thought, this is not that difficult, I'm sure I can do this. So I did some research and I got some equipment, and I rented a place from Kiwa in Nakawa, and we drilled a borehole, and I started the bottled water industry, you know. For the whole of 1993 and 1994, I lost money. And I was starting to doubt myself and was not being very confident about what I was doing. But luckily at Kazinga Channel, I was making a little money, and I could lend. Then I realized that either I have to close it and find another line, or I really have to struggle and work for it. But while all this was happening, unfortunately for people in Rwanda, they had that whole genocide thing happened. Bodies started coming up in the lake, if you remember back then. And a lot of people here got wary of drinking tap water, boiling it and drinking it. So they started drinking bottled water. And then since then, I've never looked back. The business has been growing at a very good rate. It's continued to grow.
Happy to show us around, Somani gave us a grand tour of Ruwenzori Beverage Company. Bottling water begins at the source, which can either be a spring or a well. And the next step is for the water to be filtered through multi-barrier sources. The water source of Ruwenzori mineral water is at Namamve. It is a 120-meter underground aquifer. An aquifer is a body of permeable rock that can contain or transmit underground water. And the next step is for the water to be filtered through multi-barrier sources, which could include source monitoring, reverse osmosis, ultraviolet light, distillation, and ozonization. Here are some recommendations about bottled water. 1. Choose a well-known brand of drinking water. Large companies like Ruwenzori generally employ the most effective purification processes and have the best quality control. Buy bottled water from a store that sells a lot of water and thus has water on its shelf for the shortest time. Store bottled water in a cool place. Never allow stored water to be in direct sunlight. Sunlight increases some microbial growth and allows more chemicals from the container to enter the water. And lastly, try not to drink from the bottle. You are transferring millions of mouth to the water each time you do this. With the increase in population and the careless disregard for protecting our water sources, we should be more concerned with the quality of our water. More offices and homes are opting for bottled water. Did you know that there are different types of bottled water? There is spring water that comes from an underground formation and must flow naturally to the surface through a sanitary borehole. Purified drinking water. This is water that has been processed to remove chlorine and a majority of dissolved solids like magnesium. Naturally sparkling water. This water is naturally carbonated from a spring or a well. Seltzer water or soda water. This is medicinal mineral water from Germany. Mineral water. This water is typically from a spring and contains dissolved solids like calcium, magnesium, sodium, and biocarbonates. Ruwenzori Beverage Company was the pioneer in Uganda when it came to bottled water. Since then, a number of bottled water products have hit the market. But this does have its downside: pollution. Empty bottles are carelessly disposed on the road, washed up by the rain into the trenches, and ending up in the swamps and lakes. What is Ruwenzori Company doing to combat this pollution?
Bottles, plastics, worldwide are a problem, big problem. What I did to preempt any action by the government to punish me for polluting the environment, I worked very closely with NEMA, and we worked very closely with Ministry of Local Government and City Council, and we organized, I got a grant from the Dutch government, and I had to sponsor the project myself, and I had to put in quite a bit of money to set up a recycling plant. Now what happens is, what we've done is we've put collection centers all over the country, and we collect bottles, water bottles, and things like Vim containers, and all the jerry cans, and all the caps, and we grind it up into small flakes, and we separate it, and we pack it in bags, and then we export it to China. And the Chinese are making, from the bottles, they're making fiber. So they make cotton polyester, they make carpets, they make seat belts, strapping, you know, those really difficult to open battery packets, all that stuff is made out of that recycled stuff.
But Somani doesn't just target the Ugandan market, but East Africa as well. And there seems nowhere else to go but up. Ruwenzori Beverage Company also makes containers for a number of big and small companies like Somani. Coming up after the break.
And I think it takes a long time to learn a business. And I think if you get into businesses related to your business and stick to a core business, this is where I think you'll succeed. Look, in my case, I only have the 2 businesses.
We can all learn a lot from those who have excelled in their careers. If we emulate their principles and their values, we too can go on to succeed and even go further than they. What does Mahmud Somani consider to be the keys of success?
And I think it takes a long time to learn a business. And I think if you get into businesses related to your business and stick to a core business, this is where I think you'll succeed. Look, in my case, I only have the 2 businesses. That's all I do, actually, anyway. So I think that's one thing. And the other thing is management. Try not to borrow too much money. A lot of people borrow a lot of money and they get themselves in trouble. And slow growth is another one. Grow slowly. There's no rush. Money will come, but slowly.
Despite the large numbers of graduates being churned out of higher institutions of learning, Somani believes that there is a gap in the workforce.
I think, I may be wrong, but I think a lot of people here in Uganda in the universities, they tend to go for business degrees, computer IT. They want to do, a lot of them want to become accountants and finance guys and marketing guys and salespeople and all that. I think we have plenty of those. I think there's a big need for middle management in specialized fields. For example, when I need a quality controller in this factory, I really struggle to find one, a good quality controller. The other place we have a lot of problems with is technical skills. Like electronic engineers, very difficult to find a good one. Good electricians, good wiremen electricians, hard to find. We usually end up bringing them in from Chambogo or somebody that we know, and then bring them in, and then we have people coming up from South Africa or UK, and then we train them here in-house. And I think that on the vocational side, the technical skills are lacking.
He considers his family, that is his wife and his 3 children, to be his greatest achievements. But in spite of the challenges he may have met in life, he doesn't wallow in regret over the past.
Regret is a waste of time and emotion. You can't help what you do. Sometimes you do it and you regret it. Move on. I think that's the way to look forward. I read one book by Richard Branson called Losing My Virginity. I found it very interesting. There's another one, Bill Gates' book called Speed of Light. Business at the Speed of Light or something like that. Business, but more than that, I enjoy reading magazines like The Economist and Newsweek and things like that. Role models. Yeah, my dad, for sure. Yeah, very much so. Day one when I came to Uganda and I decided I want to start a business, he sat me down in front of him and he says, it's taken me 50 years to build a name for our family in this country. You will not cheat anybody, you will not write a bad check, you will not owe anybody any money, and you will uphold the family name that I've built, and if you don't want to do that, and if you can't do that, then you better leave the country.
Thomas Scott said, "A man cannot leave a better legacy to the world than a well-educated family." Mahmud Somani in particular, who has inspired him.
I have a friend in South Africa who comes up all the time. He's a white guy. He comes up here and he works with our guys here. And every time I come up here, he's always teaching them things. Actually, in fact, there's 2 of them, Dennis and Kelvin. And I asked Kelvin one day, I said, you come up to Uganda and you always tell me how Ugandans are really eager to learn and they're easy to work with compared to the guys in South Africa who are much more, not bitter, but more resilient or more, uncooperative. He says, well, your guys sit here and work with me till 7 o'clock at night. If I tell him to climb up there and do this and this and that, he's really eager to do it. And I said, so you enjoy that? He said, yes. He says, because when I die and I've taught 100 people some skills and their family lives have improved, I've left a legacy. So this is the kind, and I thought about it. I said, this is a really good thing to do. Just like my dad is bringing me up to be an upright, moral person, I want to do that with my children as well. And I also want to leave behind, if you can help someone and they can improve their lives, You know, just one family or 2 families or 20 families, you know. If everybody did that, we wouldn't need the UN and the World Food Programme, right?
Thank you for watching this edition of Profiles. Do join us again next week for another inspirational episode. Enjoy the rest of your viewing.
This is NTV.
Today on the Art and Design Show, we track down one of Uganda's artists with a unique art, glass painting. And we bring to you the launch of yet another hit from one of the country's first growing industries, movie making. These and more stories are coming up. Glass art is the use of glass as an artistic medium. Specific approaches include stained glass, lamp working, glass bead making, glass casting, glass fusing, and most notably, glass blowing. As a decorative and functional medium, glass was extensively developed in Egypt and Assyria, brought to the fore by the Romans who developed glass blowing, and includes among its greatest triumphs European cathedral stained glass windows. Mosaic, which we are going to look at in this show, is the art of decoration with small pieces of colored glass backed with metal foils and used to create a pattern or picture. Mosaics were used across the ancient world for domestic interior decoration. Right from the School of Fine Art, where we first caught a glimpse of his eye-catching pieces, we tracked down Matthias Mwonge at the glass workshop in Zambia, where he has been painting glass for the last 20 years. But how did Mwonge get into an area Uganda have dared to venture?
Upon the advice given to me through career guidance, I had the option of doing fine art at Makerere University, where I did a Bachelor of Arts, Fine Arts, for 3 years, and which I completed and joined this institution, which deals in glass designing.
Working in an area of which very little is known by the public, Mwonge is in order to establish himself as an artist.
In the religious circles, the subject matters or the content of a given artwork are already predetermined. If it is Jesus' blessing, if it is the Virgin Mary doing this kind of thing, you do find that the artistry accompanying this kind of symbolism is already determined, and that compromises the artistic input that an artist would want to express himself in.
Painted windows have always been associated with the church. In order for this beautiful and decorative art to be appreciated fully, this resourceful artist has realized the need to break this age-old belief and create more dynamic and revolutionary glass pieces.
I have picked upon the subject matters outside the churches, which reflect people's lives, people's way of living, and when Ugandan look at this kind of art, they can say, hey, this is Ugandan. I'm also trying to push the line, a new line of thinking within the Christian iconography, the symbolism rotating around Christianity, where possible to fix the Ugandan social cultural forms into the Christian art.
Muwonge has realized that this is a major undertaking which he cannot perform on his own.
There has to be a very strong linkage between those who prepare the architectural compositions and the artists, because glasses must be provided for, the positioning of these glasses must be provided for just at the planning level of the architectural compositions, and that is a challenge in itself.
As we look around at the glorious display from the artist's hand, we are struck by the brightness and the size of the different glass pieces. The artist gives us an insight into the different factors that play to create such profound beauty.
The biggest difference between glass art and any other art area, light has to pass through the glass in order to be seen, for the glass to be seen, and that gives it a very unique quality. We call it transmitted light. Light is the artwork has to exist between the viewer and the source of light.
And as Muwonge briefly explained to us the process of working in glass, starting from the sketching, we soon realized that this is both an intricate and meticulous art which requires both patience and skill in equal measure. The pieces of glass which are painted with special paints called glazes undergo a firing process which fixes the color firmly into the glass. Fixing the glass pieces one by one will require both patience and care, and heat will be used so that when the picture is moved or mounted, they stay firmly fixed in place. Muwonge's work has been exhibited both at home and abroad, where it won an award in the Netherlands and then featured in the Women in the Light 2008 calendar. In his leisure time, Muwonge shifts from glass and paints onto canvas, and here his major subject is mostly gender.
It's that time of the year and the search is on for Uganda's beauty queen. The Miss Uganda crew is on the move, and here in Fort Portal, the search starts now.
That's Tina and Sarah. Go, the twins, that's Jackie and Jocelyn. It's like there's a mirror on the stage right now.
Today on Fashionista, we feature the lady behind the designs of the Miss Uganda regional contests.
That was Daphne. That's Kristen.
Alice has been in the fashion industry for the last 6 years. While all of us harbored many interests as youngsters, which have been abandoned with the passage of time, this passion for clothes is one which Alice has not outgrown.
Since I was a young girl, I used to play with a needle and threads, and I used to come up with a lot of things. That's what my mother told me. So even when I grew up, I started doing it on my own, even before I joined the Institute of Fashion and Designing.
Over the years, she has managed to establish herself as a designer with a style of her own. She showcases designs for both men and women and prides in boundless creativity. But this has not been without its challenges.
When I started, I didn't have customers. People didn't know me. Like when you're starting, people don't trust you. They don't know exactly what you can do. And it was not really easy for me to get the fabrics to use because I really wanted to be unique. My big break was Pastor Robert Kayanja and Jessica Kayanja. When they saw that I really had the talent, they stood with me, they helped me, they encouraged me, and they asked me to go on doing what I was doing. They supported me and allowed me to work with their people in Miracle Center Cathedral. And this really helped me to come out, and people have really known me.
After 5 years of hard work, Alice's big break came when she rode on the back of the Miss Uganda contest into the limelight.
It was last year when some of my girls, my models, joined Miss Uganda. They went to contest. I have like 6 girls. They went and contested last year. So when they went for Miss Uganda, I designed their costumes. So when I designed their costumes, even the organizers saw what they were putting on. They really admired them, and they asked those girls to call me. That's how I got in touch with Miss Uganda.
But what does it take for Alice to come up with the gorgeous costumes worn by the Miss Uganda beauties?
These are 8 contestants for tonight.
What I consider first when I'm designing for Miss Uganda, first of all, they are beauty queens. They are not models. So I make sure I design something that will show their bodies, their shapes, especially for the judges. I make things that are open so that they can see their necks, their body shapes can come out.
And more. After Miss Uganda, this charming designer has plans to make a real big impact on the fashion scene after her role model, Sylvia Worry.
I admire her. She has really inspired me because she's the first lady who ventured in fashion, really achieved greatly. Though I admire her, I've managed to come out unique. All fashions is not like anybody else's. My fashions are unique, and everyone who sees them really likes them.
We shall be on the lookout for more of your designs as the search makes its way around the different regions of the country.
As Uganda's entertainment industry reaches new heights, the movie scene has not been left behind. Though it is more advanced in the western and southern parts of Africa, more Ugandans are venturing into the movie industry. This time round, first-time directors Henry Sali and Theatre Factory's Huntington Bujingo have come up with Chiani the movie. Written by Henry Sali, the movie exposes the schemes of two Wilson Road fraudsters and the extent to which some young girls can go to have a good time.
I'm telling you, I want to be poor as long as those stupid guys are around in Kampala. I'm telling you, just playing around, doing this, and they bring money.
But the way I'm seeing Kampala, if you continue with this life of chap, you're going to end up in jail and you rot there.
I've been in jail and I don't mind. Hi, Gracie.
Oh, God. But what made Henry Sali, a seasoned journalist, make the move into making movies?
I have so many stories to tell. And you know, in newspapers, we have what we call space. Space, you know, you have 2 columns, 3 columns, so it comes down to, they say this story is 300 words. If it's a big feature, it's 1,000 words, and you cannot write the whole newspaper yourself. Yet I'm a man who has many stories, as I said. So if I have a movie, I can tell a story the way I want to.
Hi, it's you.
Yeah, it's me.
I thought you didn't even call me.
I miss you.
Don't give me those lines you give to every girl.
Are you alone?
Why?
No, I want to tell you something private.
Like what?
Something about us.
Chiani, the movie, is just that, exposing the greed and trickery which surrounds us every day.
You see those loaded people, Americans, they can't use money anyhow, so they use people like us to send them cash so that they can send you the cars. Now the 4.5 you're going to give me, they will send you cars worth 30 million shillings. Hey! This sounds good deal. Yeah, it's a good deal. And next time you have to give me 20 million so that you get 60. Yeah. That is what. Oh! Yeah. The reason I called you was about this business plan I want you to see. This is the deal. I got it from Umeme. We have to supply them poles from the forest. I've been in Mubende, and I try to pay some of this money. You see? So that means I have to get some extra money to transport those things from there to this place.
That is the real problem. And you don't have trucks to transport the poles.
That is it. Yeah, no money itself, no trucks, but money.
I understand.
And that is why I called you to be on board so that you can also be partners in this one.
How much?
Like 6 million will work. 6 million to transport these things.
The cast of the movie has done a great job in bringing out its themes as they actually bring to life the characters they are portraying. For comedian Huntington, it required more than just his usual antics on the stage to come out as a Mufere.
I have acted in other not big movies, the Maisha ones, because I've featured in almost every Maisha Labs, so they have short films. I've been featured in The Last King of Scotland as a bodyguard. Then Child of a Delegate, we had something Philip had written some time back. Child of a Delegate, it ran on the national TV for some time. So I had just gone back, maybe a full length, and this was my first full length movie. And I thought I really liked the experience because the two are totally different, stage and film. Because like you say, on stage you use a lot of energy, facial expressions, you exaggerate a lot, especially for comedy. You exaggerate to make people laugh, you have to use your face, hands and everything, which you don't use in film. So for me, I think because I went to school to do these things, I can usually easily switch from stage to film. Again, this guy is calling me.
Who is that? All the time calls. No, who is that at it?
The other guy, the Umeme guy.
Hey.
In the restaurant.
Yeah, one of these days. Hey, hello. Hello. Is this Mr. Kagwa?
Who is this?
I'm the one who gave you money.
I'm the one who gave you the money of the electric poles deal.
I don't understand what you're talking about.
What?
You have called the wrong person.
You don't remember me? I am the one who gave you 6 million.
I'm in Kasese. I'm called Wambali. You have called the wrong person.
Oh, eh?
And the co-star Alan Tumusime is back in the limelight after the MTV VJ search. His superb performance provided an insight into how many a young man can get trapped into the dangers of making quick money.
Just produce money. I am going to milk that woman. I made 4.5 million shillings today. And your corporate woman can't even get that as her salary, even half of it. And just saying you're going to get rich how?
Do you know what they say?
What?
If you want a job done perfect, put more men on it. For this case, I'm going to get more sugar mummies, more money. That is the strategy. More sugar mummies, more money. They bring money.
And as for music diva Juliana Kanyomozi, the confidence she exudes on the screen belies the fact that she is a first-time actress.
I'd like to cross-check a few things with you on the promotions account, madam.
This is not the right time. I'm still working on my report. Check on me in an hour.
It will take just a few minutes.
I said I'm busy. Don't you have ears?
Juliana was very good. Many people are saying she looks like a person who has acted before. She was saying, this is my first time, guys. I don't know whether we are going to pull it off. Let's pray that people like it. In music, I'm now at the top, and I think people expect me to deliver the same way, like I've delivered in music. And the good thing is that even in acting, she still delivered at the top.
So how are you doing?
I'm fine, I'm good. Nice to finally see how you look after the internet thing.
Yeah, nice to see you too. You also look different, by the way.
How?
I don't know, maybe you look a bit more mature, you know?
Mature? You trying to say I'm old?
No.
Juliana really impressed me and shocked me because this was her first time to come into the industry. She had never acted on screen before, apart from her music videos. And then she comes in the first day because she was freaking out. So Sally asked me to talk to her about the acting, the other bits. And I talked to her because she was fearing. She asked, because will I put it off? What will people say? And what are different things? I told her, no, just feel free. Be yourself. And the first take we had on her was the perfect one. And we just had to go on like that. She was confident and really felt so fine about it. Yeah, welcome to the world. Now you're trying to stay.
It must have taken a lot for first-time director Henry Sally. The challenges must have been gigantic, especially putting up a movie whose many scenes are taking place on the roadside. And so, after 2 years of planning, scripting, researching, scouting for locations and cast, the movie premiered as Peak Resort Munyonyo.
It was a lovely movie. Lovely.
A very fast-paced comedy. It's funny, it's hilarious. And if you're in this setting here, especially the Ugandan setting, and you're, to be very specific, if you're city-born, this will definitely make you laugh off your seat.
It's all the time and had a good time. Everyone should go out there and buy this movie.
About the phone, I said I want that phone back.
I think when someone gives something, you shouldn't ask for it in return.
I said I want my... You'll excuse me. I think a friend of mine was just coming.
That's it for today on the Art and Design Show. Remember, art is an adventure that never seems to end. Throw us mail for stories that you want to appear on the Art and Design Show. Our address is artanddesign@ntvuganda.co.ug. Would love to hear from you. Until next week, goodbye.
Oh, this is my friend. Hold on. This is my friend from the UK. Okay? UK? Yes, my friend. This when? Okay, hold on. What's the date?
This is NTV. This is NTV. This is NTV. This is NTV.
Coronation here, y'all. Feel it. The revolution will be televised. Feel me?
Come on. She would shampoos a lot. Several mornings she shampoos my locks. Always have my back, she stand true to that. Real type of loving, thank you for that. Yo, run barefoot without no shoes and socks. Cause she keep herself clean, man, I got catch no rush. And she love me for real, man, I feel have no cash. And any little thing and from a splish, she splash. Yo, all this blinging is like you forgot. Use cheddar as the bait, then you recruit the rat. So we listen couple speech of Martin Luther chat. Dennis Brown, Bob Marley and some super cat. Yo, it seem like she live upside the Duke shop. Cause she don't have a scratch, it's only beauty spot. When one duty start is when one duty stop. 1 9 to 5, 1 5 to 12 o'clock. You see me?
This is NTV.
This week, we bring you more discoveries from Kasese, and this time we are determined not to be forgetting the utmost experience the district has to offer. Today, on Showcase Uganda, we embark on the trail of the formidable Mountains of the Moon. Last week, we introduced you to the kingdom of Ruwenzori, which was born in 1880 and has over the years evolved and adapted to the unique and gorgeous environment of the mountains. Today, we tell you a bit more about this group of people. Though the Banyazururu have embraced urbanization, many facets of their traditional culture have stayed with them to date. One of these traditions is that of practicing healing rituals and herbal medication. Back in the days, when one fell ill, the first king, the Omsinga Isaiah Mukirane, would instruct them to pray for the ill person first and then proceed with administering herbs. If one suffered a mental illness, a stick like this one would be waved around his head and later gently tapped on his forehead. It was believed that this helped rid the patient of the spirits that caused his illness. Most of the herbs used by the traditional doctors are still found within the mountains. courtship dance is engaged in by both men and women and is performed with a lot of gusto. In the village used to raise the concern of everyone as they believed that their lives were in danger. The way the Bakozo dealt with this threat and restored peace in the village can be demonstrated through this witch hunting dance. When Showcase Uganda returns, its preparations, and we take you with us on the first leg of the trek up the mountains of the moon. Climbing the Ruwenzori ranges, your first point of reference will be the Ruwenzori Mountaineering Services in Kasese town. You can either get to Kasese by road, taxis and buses are available from the very, or you can get there by air. The Kasese airfield was used as a base for the UN peacekeepers before they moved to a base in Congo, is still operational. More than a century after Stanley's discovery, the mountains of the moon still maintain an aura of mystery. Lying just north of the equator, the Ruwenzori Mountains provide a natural barrier between Uganda and the Democratic Republic of Congo. The mountains stretch some 80 miles long and are about 30 miles wide. Mountaineering is the sport, hobby, or profession of walking, hiking, trekking, and climbing up mountains. While Although it began as an all-out attempt to reach the highest point of unclimbed mountains, it has branched into specializations addressing different aspects of the mountains. Ruwenzori Mountaineering Services was set up to guide hikers all the way to the highest point in Uganda.
Ruwenzori Mountaineering Services is both a company and an NGO, and it was started in 1987 by the local Bakoncho people who had worked as mountain guides and porters for some time long before and after Uganda's independence. They served under mountain clubs of Uganda, and when the mountain clubs of Uganda collapsed this time, they continued receiving the tourists from wherever they are coming from and guiding them into the Ruwenzori, organizing their trips and sending them back, but under no organized agency. It was until 1987 that they came together, 7 of them, and formed the Ruwenzori Mountaineering Services. Basically on three major objectives, which I can also summarize into 2. One was to conserve the physical and biological mountain environment on which they had seen they survive. Then 2 was to promote tourism as a vehicle to community development. So when they formed themselves into that association, definitely they had challenges. One was to develop the tourist facilities in the Ruwenzori. 2 was to improve on the services and skills of the porters and guides so that they match at international level or at regional level for that matter. And then 3 was to publicize the mountain.
And organizing our climb for the next day, we make final purchases of some fresh fruits and vegetables to take with us on the climb. Trekkers and hikers are advised to also pack glucose-based snacks such as Mars and Snickers bars, and to stock up on cakes, pastries, plus a variety of hot and cold drinks and high carbohydrate foods for the evenings. Our starting point is the base camp at Nyakalemije. Here, the weighing of luggage, allocation of porters and cooks is done. Mountain guides are allocated at a ratio of 1 per 2 climbers, while there are 4 porters per person carrying 12.5 kilograms each. This is made up of sleeping mattresses and all cooking and eating utensils needed for the climb. You also get to hire all the necessary gear to ensure maximum security during the climb. Next on the agenda is a briefing where the hikers are taken through the entire trail of the climb.
So the purpose of coming here, we are coming to discuss 2 things. One, to discuss the map board here, how we'll be moving from one place to another. So this village here is called Nyakalemije. It's at 1,649 meters above sea level. So we start walking from here. So from here to around here, there is a park gate, which will take you about 45 minutes walking. Then from the park gate, you come up to this river Mahmud. Okay? From the park gate of the first camp, will take you 4 to 5 hours walking.
Finally, we embark on the first leg of the climb, which will take about 5 to 7 hours to reach the first resting point. The hiking starts at an altitude of 3,400 feet above sea level, walking past Kilembe Mines water intake, through Bakonzo mud and waterholes, gardens, till we reach the park's main gate. This is the point at which we start the 6-day trail, which will take us to the highest point in Uganda, Margarita Peak.
as per today, we are supposed to move from the gate park here in Mehonga to Nyabitava, and you are expecting to see some chameleons, the three-horned chameleon, which is called a Renaissance chameleon, and the female one, even the Rito chameleon. You know, have different species. So all those ones I will show you as we move up.
When Showcase Uganda returns, we prepare for the incredible breathtaking landscapes, fresh waters, flora. Make Ruwenzori a unique world heritage. Still on the trail, we make our way upwards to our first destination, Nyabitava Camp. It will take us an average of between 5 to 7 hours to get there. Our trek passes through tall elephant grass in the valleys, with shorter grasses and flowering plants on the hill slopes. The guide takes us through the customs to be observed while in the mountains of Uhuru. Apparently, the mountains have a god called Ssaawa, and his wife is called Nyabibuya. There are rules against bathing, whistling, singing, or even pointing fingers while on the mountains. However, these apply mainly to the Bakonzo. It is said that if the rules are broken, the mountain god gets angry and the weather changes drastically, resulting into heavy downpours. Our trek continues along River Mabuku and gradually through wild bananas. The incredible flora and fauna, such as the giant ferns and colorful flowers, are a sight for sore eyes.
And it's a medicinal tree for cholera, stomachache, the whole year. So in case you have a problem, you just come and get the leaves, the husks, then you start chewing it.
We came across the three-horned chameleon, which look looks like a miniature triceratops. This species of chameleon is believed to be found only in the Ruwenzoris. The female chameleon does not have horns. The females undergo a strange end. They die. This is because they literally explode at birth. Any flies that come to the remains become prey to the newly born chameleons. The male, on the other hand, dies of old age. As we push forward, we meet some trekkers on their way back from Margarita Peak who relate to us their experience on this awesome mountain.
Okay, how many days have you taken up?
8 days.
8?
Yes.
Have you been to the Margarita?
Yes.
How was it?
Exciting.
Would you come back?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, it's a very nice country. Nice people, nice environment. It's a very good experience.
It was quite misty. It was quite hard to get up, yeah. But I liked it a lot.
Well, it was beautiful and very hard, but we came back. A lot of water. A lot of mud.
Invigorated by the pictures of the highest peak painted by the returning trekkers, we push on with renewed energy. As we go through the forests, we invariably notice that there are very few large trees exceeding 30 meters at this altitude, and in many places the canopy is very broken. The Ruwenzoris are also home to a wide array of bird and animal life. Animals that inhabit the mountains include the rare mountain elephants, chimpanzees, bushbuck, leopards, colobras and rabbit monkeys, sunbirds and taracos. If you are in luck, you might catch a glimpse of the monkeys. As we continue trekking through the shady jungles and reveling in the wonders of our surroundings, we discover that nature in this area is not as silent as it's made out to be. The air is filled with a variety of sounds, from the screeching of insects, whistling of birds, and the sporadic roar of the mountain rivers, Choco and Mahmud.
Yeah.
After crossing these rivers, we tackle the final climb for the day through open bracken fan slopes and Kodoka Pass forest. This is a very steep climb, and at the end of 2 hours of puffing and huffing, we trudge into Nyamitaba camp. From here across the Mubuku Valley, one can see the Portal Peaks rising 1,400 feet above sea level. 2,700 feet above sea level, and this is where we spent our first night on the mountains, exhausted but satisfied at that initial achievement. Next week on Showcase Uganda.
This is NTV.
The mountain gorilla is considered endangered species, with only about 720 mountain gorillas left in the world. And these live within 4 national parks split into 2 regions: Bwindi Impenetrable Forest National Park, Mahinga Gorilla National Park in Uganda, Volcanoes National Park in Rwanda, and Virunga National Park in the Democratic Republic of Congo. The gorilla is the largest of all living primates and has a robust build with long muscular arms, a massive chest, and broad hands and feet. It has longer and darker hair than other species, allowing it to live and travel at high altitudes where temperatures drop to below 0 degrees Celsius. The gorillas can be identified by nose prints unique to each individual. Male mountain gorillas stand up to an average height of 6 feet and weigh from 400 to 500 pounds, that is 227 kilograms, making them the largest of the great apes. Adult males are called silverbacks because they develop a streak of silver hair on their backs with maturity. The silverback is the leader and the ultimate protector of his band. The mountain gorilla is most active between 6 a.m. and 6 p.m. Most of this time is alternated between foraging, eating, and resting. They are herbivores and consume large amounts of vegetation. Adult males can eat up to 34 kilograms of vegetation a day, while a female can eat as much as 18 kilograms. Females reach breeding age at about 10 years old. They typically bear young every 4 to 5 years, giving birth after a gestation period of 8 to 9 months.
This is NTV.
Zebras belong to the horse family and are best known for their distinctive white and black stripes, with each zebra having its own unique pattern of stripes, just like fingerprints. There are 3 species of zebra: the plain zebra, gravy zebra, and the mountain zebra. Zebras generally stand from 4 to 5 feet at the shoulder and weigh around 300 kilograms. The largest species, gravy zebra, can weigh up to 450 kilograms. Zebras can be found in a variety of habitats, such as grasslands, savannas, woodlands, thorny scrublands, mountains, and coastal hills. When the group is alarmed, it takes to flight with the first 5.
This is NTV.
It is Friday evening, the 3rd day of August 2012. It is 9 p.m. and we are broadcasting live from our studios here in Kampala. We are right on time for NTV Weekend Edition. Tonight, as the battle to contain the deadly Ebola virus continues, find out how Uganda's tourist industry is being affected, even as international health teams are dispatched to the affected areas. In NTV Weekend Sport, we are focusing on the London 2012 Olympics and we will be seeking your views on Uganda's performance in our NTV Weekend poll. So be sure to have your say. A very warm welcome to NTV Weekend Edition that's starting right now with the main headlines. Another life lost today to the deadly Ebola virus as the death toll rises to 17.
Ebola alert in Kampala. I am Irene Namialo. I will be bringing a story of where any person who shows any signs and symptoms of Ebola in Kampala will be rushed to.
I'm Chris Ochamringa with a story of the Ugandan government's denial of allegations that it's supporting the M23 rebels of DRC.
And join me, Alfred Odong, later on in this bulletin for an update in the ongoing preparations ahead of the Eastern Motorsport Challenge to be hosted in Jinja.
Once again, welcome to NTV Weekend Edition. I am Josephine Karunji. Now later on in tonight's newscast in NTV Weekend Sport, we will be looking at Team Uganda's performance at the London 2012 Olympics as the first week of competition draws to a close. So far, 5 out of the 6 Team Uganda's competitors who have participated have been eliminated. Tonight, we are asking, why do you think Team Uganda has failed to be awarded any medals so far at the London 2012 Olympics? I repeat, why do you think Team Uganda has failed to be awarded any medals so far at the London 2012 Olympics? To have your say, text 8778 followed by your name and where you're texting from. We shall be reading some of your comments during tonight's newscast. Now on to tonight's main news. Another life has today been lost from the deadly Ebola virus, bringing the death toll to 17. As the impact of the Ebola outbreak is continuing to bite, it seems Uganda's tourism industry is also being hit hard. Today, the tourism ministry has reported a cancellation of tours by tourists from across the world after international media allegations that Uganda is unsafe for visiting following an outbreak of the deadly virus in western Uganda. Meanwhile, the health minister, Christine Ondoa, has ruled out Ebola infiltration in Kampala, affirming to Ugandans that the situation is under control. Solomon Seranja brings us the latest on the Ebola outbreak.
Uganda's tourism industry is one of those that have been affected by the Ebola outbreak in Kibale district. This is according to the tourism ministry that has confirmed that some tourists have cancelled their August-September bookings upon learning of the deadly fever in western Uganda that has so far claimed 16 lives.
It is true, some cancellations have happened. Some tourist cancellation, people who are planning to visit Uganda as tourists. some of them have cancelled, largely because of publishing rumors, in my own judgment.
The ministry attributes the cancellation to the way both the national and international media have reported on the disease.
This is from Nairobi internet. Travel to Uganda now, deadly. I mean, look, you guys, if it was deadly, you guys would be dead. You are here. This is the heading. Travel to Uganda now, deadly. You can imagine if you are a tourist wanting to come to Uganda and you read such a headline.
They have since sent a State of Affairs report on Ebola to different embassies through the Ministry of Foreign Affairs. The report vehemently denies international media allegations that Uganda as a whole has been infiltrated by the Ebola virus. Meanwhile, the latest report on the Ebola hemorrhagic fever outbreak in Kibale district has revealed that the cumulative number of deaths rises to 17, as the total number of those that have been in contact with the Ebola suspect looms at 312. Out of these, 253 are still being followed by the clinical officials. 3 new admissions were registered yesterday and are still in isolation, although one of the patients, a prisoner, is alleged to have escaped from an isolation facility. Different international teams outside the country have started flying in to contain the Ebola disease.
When we confirmed that this was Ebola, immediately the WHO gave experts and part of the Ministry of Health experts and part of the workers from CDC and Medicine Sans Frontiers went on site. We have also got more experts from WHO and from CDC flying in the country to join us.
The Health Ministry has also ruled out Ebola infiltration in Kampala, and the few cases at Mulago Hospital are being contained at a special quarantine center.
We got alerts from Barara, we got alerts from other places, from Makara University of suspected cases. I am happy to announce that the Barara alert case has been proven to be Ebola negative. The one from Makara University was also Ebola negative. So this is true that yes, we had one case of Mulago who died, but another case that we are tracing and is still alive.
A total of 3 billion shillings has so far been earmarked for the emergency rescue plan. The private sector has also come out to support the fight against the Ebola with a 100 million shilling donation by Talo. Tonight, the Health Ministry are urging the people to remain calm as efforts to contain this deadly virus are underway. As government continues to battle with the Ebola hemorrhagic fever, the possibility of spreading this deadly virus still remains high as it's through body contact. It now remains everyone's responsibility to be cautious with who we get in contact with.
Now, the commonly known cholera camp at Mulago Hospital is undergoing renovation, but this time not for cholera, but to help contain the outbreak of the deadly Ebola virus. Today, 60% of the facility, which was abandoned since the last cholera outbreak, is now housing an Ebola isolation unit at Mulago Hospital, as Irene Namialo reports.
A team from Doctors Without Borders, MSF, officers from KCCA, Ministry of Health and Mulago officials have all been at the emergency facility, which is under renovation, to give advice. Even if there are no patients yet, disinfection is a must before and after entering the Ebola isolation center in Mulago. The former cholera camp is now being fine-tuned in order to fit a modern facility fit to serve Ebola patients who could be rushed here any minute from now.
Whenever we receive a case, we can now have a case admitted here.
Water supply and electricity have all been put in place, plus other logistics. Sources have informed us that this morning a dead body was treated here and they suspected it could have been an Ebola patient who died. However, the hospital director refutes the claims.
You know, there are very many things that mimic different diseases, but this is an infectious disease that killed this person. And it was really very unfortunate that we had not had some of the results like of the Ebola right now before he died. So we shall communicate to you later after the other results have come what killed the patient.
Apart from a clinical officer who was referred here last month and died of Ebola, the officials here say there is no confirmed cases in Mulago so far. However, they call for vigilance in all communities to all signs and symptoms of Ebola, which include high fever, vomiting, rash, among others. Irene Namialo, NTV.
Thank you, Erin. The Minister of Foreign Affairs, Okello Oryem, has dismissed allegations that Uganda is backing the M23 rebels of Congo as rubbish. The allegations were made last week by the Democratic Republic of Congo's Joseph Kabila, who requested Ugandan authorities to explain the persistent rumors of Uganda's support to the M23 rebels. Chris Ochamwenga reports.
The Foreign Affairs Minister was speaking to journalists about the upcoming international conference on the Great Lakes region that will be held in Kampala between the 7th and 8th of this month. One of the journalists asked the minister to explain the allegations of Uganda's involvement in supporting the M23 rebels of Eastern DRC.
Rubbish, and I repeat it, is rubbish. In no uncertain terms, members of the UPDF in the DRC, we have no interest to be there, and there's nothing that motivates us to go there.
The high-profile conference will be attended by the U.S. Secretary of State Hillary Clinton, the DRC's President Joseph Kabila, Rwanda's Paul Kagame, alongside the host President Museveni, to try and resolve the tensions in the eastern DRC. The M23 rebels have in the past overrun towns in the eastern DRC and vowed to continue their onslaught against the Congolese army. A leaked UN report accused Rwanda of supporting the M23 rebels, although Rwanda denies the allegations.
Because the very UN report that they talk about had not been discussed, even though it's been published, it has not been discussed in the UN, and Rwanda on the other hand also protested.
The eastern part of the DRC has for long been a haven for rebel groups and militias that have caused instability in neighboring countries. Chris Ochamwenga, NTV.
It's time to take a short break, but just before we do, let's take a look at what's coming up. Women MP for Ruabo Honorable Paula Tuyakayo is flown to hospital in Kampala after her car is involved in an accident that has claimed 5 lives. And in NTV Weekend Sport, all the latest from the London 2012 Olympics as the first week of competition draws to a close. NTV Weekend Edition continues after this short break. Stay with us.
This is NTV. This is NTV.
Fieldwork has been defined by different scholars. Some think it is an art.
These are the blood types that are in human beings. We have A.
When a chemical reaction takes place, it involves 2 things.
We are given a straight line that has been denoted by 2x minus y is equal to 6.
Ideally, we all have the right to express our opinions and views truthfully and openly.
Atelelom tugenda katongole mbukasam.
Kampala bwerere mwasomo the bus. The discussion is still going on in the bus.
Tulino kugumira challenges ezimu gwe tuba tulino goba abatembeyi mwami lukwaga agumaga abatembeyi mugende no mbadde ndala kunyonyola mukulu kati tuulirize mwami tudde ku kira mbadde ndala kunyonyola mwami yagambye nti meya lukwago ye meya omutuufu
gavumenti
ekutte lukwabe munyigira mu nsonda takyekyusa.
Welcome back to Minibus Kyogereko.
Niko musajja abankwana nga njagala sifa ku kya ssente. Wabula nfa ku mbeera ye yisa.
Alimba ono.
This is Minibus
Kyogereko.
I think I'm Big Meech.
I don't see nobody. It's the cataract. I'll roll up. Put it down on me. Fire flame, spitter. G6 like a G6.
I think I'm Big Meech.
I don't see nobody. It's the cataract. Lucini pouring from the sky, let's get rich, what? You can see a man's face, but you can't see his eye. I am Wale, Oluba, we be in the party like.
Welcome back to NTV Weekend Edition. A quick reminder that in tonight's NTV Weekend poll, we are asking, why do you think Team Uganda has failed to be awarded any medals so far at the London 2012 Olympics? I repeat, why do you think Team Uganda has failed to be awarded any medals so far at the London 2012 Olympics? To have your say, text 8778 followed by your name and where you are texting from. And some of your responses that have come in so far, we start with Benjamin Jingo, who says, we are always strongest in athletics and they just kicked off. I doubt we hoped for any medals in the pool, but they represented well. Joseph Mag says, Kipsiro said it well. He got no coin for preparation, had to hire and feed his own trainers. Sam Olga says, while other countries have programs that start training their teams years before, in Uganda, no serious long-term program for athletics exists. Well, thank you so much for all of your responses. We will take a look at some more before the end of tonight's newscast. Now, the woman member of Parliament for Ruwenzori, Honorable Paula Tuyaikayo, has been flown in a chopper to Kampala Hospital after a car was involved in an accident at Kiborogota, 13 kilometers from Rukunjiri town. Her sister, Dina Karemwera, is admitted in the intensive care unit at Nyachibale Mission Hospital. 4 other people died on spot in the accident that occurred along Tungamo Rukunjiri Road at around 1 p.m. this afternoon, while the 5th person died shortly after reaching the hospital. A few minutes ago, we were updated on the very latest from the scene.
The accident happened at around 1300 hours at a place called the Kiborogota, that is on Rukunjiri in Tungamo Road, 13 kilometers to Rukunjiri. It involved the motor vehicle number UG0230K Toyota Hilux of the Member of Parliament of Ruwenzori constituency, that is Honorable Paula Tuyaikayo. And another vehicle was the reg number UAF 600 Violet Toyota Corolla, white in color. It had the 5 people and all of them died. 4 died instantly and then 1 died when he was being taken to the hospital. Some of those who died, their names are driver Muhumuza Zubaire, 30 years, a resident of Capson. Then the second one is Sanyo Alex. The third one is Kansime, a lady. Then the 4th one, Mutembei Joshua from Isingiro district. Then the 5th one, the name was not established. Now, the crew of the Member of Parliament was flown to Kampala in Mulago Hospital. It was a head-on collision, but it could have been maybe overspeeding and sometimes maybe when the drivers are a bit tired. The investigations are still continuing.
We certainly wish the Honorable and her sister a quick recovery, and may the souls of those that perished in the accident rest in eternal peace. Moving on, the U.S. Secretary of State Hillary Clinton has called Uganda to the drawing table with the U.S. government in order to single out some of the challenges that have hampered the capture of LRA rebel leader Joseph Kony. Clinton, who is on a state visit, met President Yoweri Museveni at State House in Entebbe, where it is believed that some of the issues that they discussed included the situation in Congo, South Sudan, and the fight against the Al-Shabaab terrorist group. Sylvia Hanga reports.
At around 2 p.m., Secretary of State Hillary Clinton's private jet touched the ground at Entebbe Airport amidst tight security manned by the Americans and PGB. Clinton was welcomed by the Foreign Affairs Minister Okello Oryem before she headed to State House Entebbe to meet President Museveni. It was closed-door meeting, but one of the issues that NTV has learned was on the agenda was resolving the Congo conflict, the fight against LRA and Al-Shabaab, among others. From State House, she headed to Kasenyi military base hosted by Lieutenant Colonel Francis J. Ongia, where she met a special force from the UPDF that is undergoing training in the use of unmanned aerial vehicles.
This is called unmanned aerial vehicle, one of the latest technology being used by the AMISOM forces in the fight against Al-Shabaab, and it basically does the reconnaissance where it spots where the enemy could be hiding. But this also comes at a time when Uganda is fighting the LRA rebels hiding in Central Africa. And one of the challenges that this kind of technology has is that it is very hard for it to get images of an enemy hiding within the thick forests.
And now we have to figure out how we can see through thick vegetation to find Joseph Kony. Over here behind him. Let's go.
Apparently, the fight against the LRA was boosted by 100 special forces sent to Central Republic to help UPDF capture rebel leader Joseph Kony, blamed for atrocities against humanity. But this time, the core issue, according to Hillary, is to know what is needed.
Figure out how to work with all the countries where he and his criminal bands are perhaps hiding. So we have to, as I told the president earlier, we have to put our heads together to find out what additional equipment and support you need.
The ability to see during daytime and during night time, and the ability to move our forces faster than we are able to do now in light of the terrain and the nature of the environment where we are operating, where there are no roads.
Over 40 UPDF soldiers have been trained by the U.S. Army on how to use the UAV, which has helped the AMISOM forces gain control of most Al-Shabaab territories.
So you control the operation from this unit, and you're also able to view the images that it's seeing.
For now, it remains a waiting game to see when the demands made by the UPDF will be met by US. Sudil Biarhanga, NTV.
Meanwhile, the U.S. Secretary of State has said that Uganda's increasing incidences of HIV are worrying and that the country needs to make more use of the preventive methods against the HIV virus. The comments came at Reach Out Mbuya, an organization that cares for HIV/AIDS orphans whose parents died of HIV and AIDS, as well as taking care of adults by providing them with ARVs. The U.S. government has invested extensively in Uganda since 2004, when George Bush implemented the PEPFAR program or the United States President's Emergency Plan for AIDS Relief, which helped put a significant number of Ugandans on ARVs. Now over 30,000 Ugandans living with HIV and AIDS are receiving treatment.
We saw how the prevalence of this disease could drop dramatically from nearly 20% to below 7%. However, I am here because I am worried. In recent years, the focus on prevention has faded, and new infections are on the rise again. I had the opportunity to discuss this with the president and with the minister. Uganda is now the only country in sub-Saharan Africa where the rate of HIV is going up instead of going down. Now, I know that Ugandans, when you put your mind to something, can really get it done. So I'm hoping that together we can work on making prevention the focus again. I will be looking forward to be meeting with John Robert Ngole, who 8 years ago was near death. He was the first person in the world to receive life-saving medication through PEPFAR. And now there are 300,000 Ugandans receiving medication through PEPFAR. And Reach Out is well named because what you have done is to be sure that people in the area have a place to come, to be given support, to be given treatment, to be given dignity in order to achieve their own personal goals of being healthy and productive citizens.
Now, earlier I did mention that it was 30,000 Ugandans living with HIV and AIDS receiving treatment from PEPFAR, but it is actually 300,000 Ugandans. Let's move on to our profile feature for this week. Now, little did he imagine that one day he would own the country's most successful chain of sports shops. We are talking about David Katuma, the owner and proprietor of Katuma Sports Center. He relates his success to his humble upbringing and consistency in whatever he does. In this week's profile, Maurice Achol brings us the life of David Katuma, whose journey to success has not been a bed of roses.
It's up this hill in Machinde where David Katuma, the owner and chief executive director of Katuma Sports Center, lives. He lives together with his wife Rose Katuma, with whom he has been married for years. They have 2 children, 6-year-old Sylvester Kajubi and Celesta Wanyana, who is just about 8 months. David Katuma was born in 1974 in Kasozi village in Wakiso district, and he's from a family of more than 20 children. Life wasn't easy for him as he was growing up as a young child.
Because I used to pay for my tuition as well as studying from school. I used to get my tuition from cultivating people's farm.
Having been brought up from a humble family, this is one of the factors that has made him work hard during his times as a youth. Just like any other child from a low-income family, he could not join higher education after his senior 6 at Namulenga Senior Secondary School. He did all sorts of odd jobs before starting up a stall in a window market back in the 90s. Going back to Katuma's olden days, he tells me of his passion for sports at school. This is where he exactly derived his passion for sports as a game and then trading in sports items as a business.
You know, some teams used to hire me, go and pray for them, then come back.
Right.
And used to make some little money. Yeah. That would cater for my scholastic needs.
With everything falling into place now, Katuma has decided to pick up from where he stopped academic-wise and is now pursuing a bachelor's degree in business administration at Makerere University Business School.
Growing up as a young man, what was one of those memorable moments you had that you cannot forget?
The first day I went to NTV airport. It was a tour when I was still in Nabinene. We were charged 3,000 per pupil. But for me getting that 3,000, it took me almost 6 months to see a plane flying, a plane taking off.
Katuma works with his wife, Rose. She is also a manager in the company and quite runs a busy life too. As a wife and a working mother too, she explains how she balances home affairs and business.
Most of women put more weight on the side of work and they forget their homes. So that is why I decided to at least give my children some time.
And this is how she describes the husband, David Katuma.
He's above all. That's what I can describe.
According to David, Rose Katuma has been a resourceful wife in his life who has helped him grow and expand in terms of business.
We try so much not to mix family issues with business issues. When we are at work, we discuss business. When we come back home, We discuss family issues.
Just like the saying that goes, like father, like son, Sylvester is already having interest in football, and to David, he will support his son in all ways through till he achieves his goals.
He's at school because he has to study, he has to acquire that formal education, but I'm also trying my level best to provide him with informal education.
In his free time, David finds time to exercise and do what his passion is. As a family man, every morning David prepares his kids and takes them to school. Right in his office, Katumwa then tells me how he started his business.
David Katumwa started the sports business in Owino Market 2 decades ago. So I had to struggle at my own, okay? And I managed to save some little money. I recall I started with 100,000 by then.
Katumwa Sports Center is now one of the leading sports centers in Kampala, accredited by many people as far as sports items are concerned. He explains how his business has grown to this level.
So it was out of curiosity that I decided to start, trading more items rather than trading only one item, which was soccer shoes. So I started, buying and selling spike shoes. And then I moved to jerseys.
Katumwa's dream at the moment is to find ways to break into the East African market. Currently, he's employing close to 100 people, and to him, the sky is the limit. Maurice Ochol, NTV.
Lavish birthday party that saw him receive many gifts. Zakayo the alpha male is one of the flagship animals at the center.
Well-wishers today flooded the Wildlife Center in Entebbe to celebrate a very special and extraordinary birthday. It was a birthday celebration of Zakayo, the oldest known chimpanzee in Uganda. Surrounded by other chimps, Zakayo was given his birthday cake when he kindly shared with his fellow guests.
Happy birthday to you.
Zakayo was also given many presents which he carried up the tree where he sleeps and then opened to the astonishment of the gathered well-wishers.
We are celebrating the 49th birthday of one of the senior residents of Entebbe, and that is none other than Zakayo.
According to the Uganda Wildlife Education Center, Zakayo was rescued in June 1972 at Semiliki in Bundibujo and has since then been raised by hand. The chimp was later surrendered to the Entebbe Zoo on June the 10th of 1976. The chimp is also said to be very fatherly.
We are celebrating this birthday because chimpanzees in the wild live for between 45 to 45 years, while in captivity they can live up to 60 years. So you can see that chimpanzee Zakayo has actually lived for some time, and we would like to recognize the fact that he has actually lived beyond the period with which we're supposed to live if he were to be in the wild.
Besides the celebrations, this day is to remind Ugandans to continue to fight towards putting an end to poaching and deforestation.
In our political satire this week, we put our focus on the 19th coronation of the Kabaka of Buganda, Ronald Mwenda Mutebi. The errant Buganda MPs who no longer want to visit their president in State House, and will be showing you what goes on in the ghetto territory. Here is Point Blank.
Brazilians bite off. Hey! I am the man who can just look at the woman and she gets pregnant. Where did you train from?
You should leave issues of the generals to the generals.
You want another rap?
Yeah, Susie.
The place is Wakiso district, and the function is the 19th coronation of the Kabaka of Buganda, Ronald Mwenda Mutebi. Chuchu! Empologoma ya Buganda magulu nyondo. Enyanja temanyirwa. Musota owangale Ssaabasajja Kabaka. In our culture here, he is our beloved husband, and big or small should prostrate before him. That is Mukasambide Deyala MP. Next is Madam Teacher Betty Namboze. Next, then Kenny Chams the man. Bad manners, Ken. You are not supposed to show your back to the Kabaka. Good manners, Mheshimiwa. And led by Mahogany. 1, 2, 3, down. Now that you have met the landlord, you have been summoned to NTV State House to meet the head of state. Are you ready to go, Professor Kenya?
These days, if you invite me to discuss something, you must also tell me what is the agenda. What are we going to discuss?
Mr. Mahogany, things seem to have changed, and you seem to be a changed NRM cadre. What do you want the president to do?
We should have prepared ourselves with a document of what we want the president and the government to do for us. Other regions do it.
I hear you, sir. What about Uganda MPs?
And for us, we just jump in cars and go. Jump in cars and go. Go to do what?
Honorable Seriko, don't you think Professor Bugenya is disrespecting the person of the president?
Even if it's the president, we are also elected leaders.
I hear there are lots of drinks and food in State House, and that is what you MPs enjoy most.
For tea parties, we cannot come. We cannot come.
And you, Professor Mahogany?
I don't want to go there and have coffee or tea.
So, why do you were still vice president, you used to go there for coffee and tea? Wait, please, I still have some questions for you. Alright, let's have a commercial break from the ghetto president. Don't mind about what he says. It's just a commercial break. Go ahead, Mr. President. I visited your ghetto territory, and I can report you have trained a number of young boys into this game. Your man, give us some music.
Nayelinda, I want something inside your heart. Oh, mimi nakuwaza, nimesota juu ya penzi lako baby. Nayelinda, I want something inside your heart.
Do you also know how to sing?
I'm Rasta Faria from Jamaica.
Yes.
From Jamaica.
From Chiani.
And
Ah, let me sample another one.
You don't know it, but you will know. Anytime coming soon, yeah, as usual, ghetto life is the best one.
Yeah, man, music is what I want.
Umuziki gwechifiri kaguvuma ngaradu. Tiguringa sukari gumerera gusabalaza guringo murondo. DJ na on tano the big up NTV now be man you chitegera.
Good work.
We the musicians, we are the #1 top shotters in Uganda, as you know.
I know, Mr. Rastaman. Could that be the reason why John Kenny Chams, the man, is also trying out to become a musician? Ah, that is your character. You'll always jump on everything. Agnes Nandu 2, point blank.
Point Blank with Agnes Nandutu, and in case you missed it, you can catch it in our NTV 1 o'clock bulletin tomorrow, or you can check our YouTube site for it. Coming up is NTV Sport, and Joel Kamadi is in the studio. Joel, good evening.
Thank you very much, Josephine. Now, it's day 7 of the ongoing Olympics in London, and some positive development for Team Uganda as Benjamin Kiplagat qualified for the finals of the 3,000 meters steeplechase. I'll be telling you that and so much more in NTV Weekend Sport up next.
This is NTV. This is NTV.
I'll roll up. Put it down on me, put it down on me. Fire flame, spitter. G6, like a G6.
I think I'm Big Meech.
I don't see nobody. It's the cataract.
Lucini pouring from the sky, let's get rich, what? You can see a man's face, but you can't see his heart. I am Wale, Oluba. We be in the party like we own that bar.
Tease me, baby.
No one feels the motherland like we do. So tune in every day at 6 p.m. and Fridays from 11 p.m. for the best in homegrown music. Only on NTV, the station that celebrates local music talent.
Welcome to NTV Weekend Sport. I am Joel Kamadi. Benjamin Kiplagat has become the first member of Team Uganda to go past the first round of the ongoing London Olympics as he advanced in the men's 3,000 meters steeplechase event. Compatriot Jacob Araptani, however, failed in the second heat, as did Jamila Lunkuse in the women's 50-meter freestyle swimming. But day 7 of the ongoing Olympics in London had a positive development for Team Uganda since the game started. This time, Benjamin Kiplagat making it past the heats of the 3,000 meter steeplechase. He clocked 8 minutes 18 seconds to finish 6th overall and qualify for the final that takes place on Sunday night. Jacob Araptani, though, failed as he could only manage 8 minutes and 35 seconds. Earlier in the 50 meters women's freestyle, Jamila Lunkuse bowed out, finishing 8th in her heat, unable to clock the required time for her to reach the finals. Dorcas Nzikuru and Moses Kipsiro will run in the heats of the women's 3,000 meter steeplechase and the 10,000 men's final tomorrow. Now, in order to expand on the first week of the London 2012 Olympics, I am delighted to be joined here in the studio tonight by Brian Tuka, a sports analyst. A very warm welcome to NTV Weekend Sport, Brian.
Thank you, Joe. Good to be here.
Now, Brian, what do you think could be the reasons we have not won any medals so far?
I would prefer you asking me if we deserve actually to perform well, because I don't see any reason why we should. When you look at the cultured societies, the organization must start from the top. Or rather, actually, when they're organized already, they start from grassroots going up. Here in Uganda, the fact that the structures are not there, we start from the top going down. Now, the top is the government that is supposed to be providing preparations, finances to some of these athletes, but also putting in place people who can run these federations that involve sports, which we don't have down here. So it's such a huge problem. Before the Olympics, we already didn't have a body in place or putting these athletes in order. The UOC was in shambles because Roger Sedung was being put out, and then we bring in William Blick. So clearly, we already started the preparations in the worst way possible. So all these athletes here can't do much apart from being a part of the biggest, I think, sports event in the world.
Now, Brian, we have 6 athletes out already, all of whom have been eliminated in the preliminary rounds. What are the chances of seeing a Ugandan on the podium?
Now, we are competing against athletes from across 204 countries. Some of these guys started preparing in 6 months' time before the Olympics did start. The people in their countries, for example, the government is supposed to be providing help, were part of it. When you look at some of the leaders in some of these countries, for example, the British Prime Minister, David Cameron, the US President, when they're talking sport, they don't talk sport like they've been briefed, but they are part of it. So for us to get help from some of these guys who run these games, I think they've got to be part of it. Now, we've got more officials at the Olympics, more than the athletes. And one of the most important officials we did take there is the last guy who won us a medal in '96 in Atlanta. That's Davis Kamuga. He can't access the village. He's given 30 pounds, I understand, as upkeep. This is a guy who can sit down with Moses Kipsuro and tell him how exactly he should behave when he's going in a race, because he's been there, done that. We don't need William Bleak, we don't need Galabuzi, but those are the guys that are closest to him. He's frustrated, and Moses Kipsuro did come out here to say it straight up. This is the guy we have the most hope in. And he's not ready because he's frustrated by the government promises and also not being given anything in preparation to the Olympics. He's been funding almost each and everything. He's been doing embarrassment.
Okay, but let me just take you away from that just a little bit. Should we expect the experience of the likes of Dorcas Nzikuru and Moses Kipsuro to play its part?
The only hope I have is in Kipsuro because he's got heart. He's spent money, he's invested in himself so that he can win something. The other problem is, who is he competing against? I mean, okay, Kenenisa Sabekele in the 10,000 has not been in top fire. So probably you can give Kipsuro a chance. The fact that the top athlete in the 10,000 isn't there. But when you look at 5,000, Mo Farah, the Somali, British, now running for the British right now, is the most, I think, in form amongst the 5,000. And then there are this lot of Kenyans and Ethiopians. So it's really going to be very, very easy. But if you asked me, the slightest of hope I have in the Ugandans, it's got to be Moses Kipsuro. Dorcas Nzikuru, I'm sorry, I don't think she had enough.
So, Brad, are you saying the preparations we put in place for the Olympics was inadequate?
We did not put any preparations. We didn't. It's that simple.
Okay, yeah. I have been speaking to Brian Tuka, a sports analyst. Now moving on, and the draws for the Airtel Rising Stars have been made ahead of tomorrow's quarterfinals at the Kakindo Stadium in Jinja, where 4 groups will tussle it out for supremacy. But perhaps the big news is that Airtel is partnering with Arsenal Football Club, and in a bid to enhance the coaching and skills, and the finalists will take part in the inter-country Airtel tournament.
Today we've witnessed the draw for the fixtures for the finals for the second season of Airtel Rising Stars. Final to be held this weekend in Jinja. We now have regional teams who will be battling out for national supremacy. The combination of this will be a national team that will be formed that will go for the inter-country championships in Nairobi. One of the things that we are delighted about this year, ARS Season 2, is the fact that we've managed to partner with Arsenal Football Club, the Gunners. We are excited because what it means is that we are able to draw on the wide skill base and talent that Arsenal has to offer.
Rising Stars, one of Africa's...
This is NTV.
Finally, Jinja-based drivers have intensified their training ahead of the Eastern Motor Challenge they are to host at the Agricultural Showground on the 18th of this month. The event is expected to attract top drivers in the country, all having a chance to clinch the national championship.
Jinja-based drivers will look to proving themselves against the country's elite when they meet at the agricultural showground on the 18th of this month. FMU officials have endorsed the highly anticipated challenge as having the best organization as well as safety measures in place. The competition, which is a national championship scoring race, is expected to attract all the top drivers looking to claiming this year's title.
The championship is purely open because if you look at the papers you have, the difference between the leader and the second person is only 46 points, which can be overturned over just one event. And between the third one, it is only 2.
The host drivers, however, look to this as an opportunity to prove a point to the lead drivers in the country, whom they believe only perform because they are better resourced.
The route is very fast, and we expect people to hit top speeds. In that aspect, I hope safety has been taken care of, and I'm sure everyone has prepared their machines very, very well, and they want to have a better result than what they had in Pearl.
Reigning national champion Susan Muwonge, Ronald Sebuguzi, Ponshano Rakataka and Dakan Mubiru will be some of the top drivers to watch.
And that winds up NTV Weekend Sport for tonight. Have a great weekend. Back to you, Josephine.
Short break. I'll be back with your comments for tonight's NTV Weekend poll.
This is NTV.
I think I'm Big Meech. I don't see nobody. I don't see nobody.
It's the cataract.
Lucini pouring from the sky. Let's get rich. What? You can see a man's face, but you can't see his heart. I am Wale, Oluba. We be in the party like we own that bar.
Tease me, tease me, tease me, tease me, baby.
No one feels the motherland like we do. So tune in every day at 6 p.m. and Fridays from 11 p.m. for the best in homegrown music. Only on NTV, the station that celebrates local music talent.
To be honest, it's one of the most scary genres of music for me.
Thank you for staying with us. A quick look at some of your responses from our NTV Weekend poll, where we asked, why do you think Team Uganda has failed to be awarded any medals so far at the London 2012 Olympics? We start with Simon Jacob, who says, every medal won for Uganda is self-initiative. Uganda as a country has not done its best to promote sports and motivate players. Karim Nanyeri says lack of good political will and interest. The later men's era saw the later Kibua win for Uganda a gold medal over 3 decades back. No one has ever broken that record since. And Julius Tumhire says it is a result of lack of talent hunting, ill preparation, inadequate resources, and infighting within sports associations. Lastly, we have Haka Kiki, who says lack of transparency in Ugandan sports. Look at the people who went for the Olympics, 25 officials and 16 athletics. What do you call that? Well, thank you so much for all of your responses, and they bring us to the end of Friday's NTV Weekend Edition. From myself and the team behind the scenes, it's good night. Join us again tomorrow, same time, same place.
This is NTV. This is NTV.